When I was 14, I planned my wedding.
This one's wife. Staged to secure security. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. You'll be aware that Harry's attempt to compel the payment for his security failed. ABC News reports that new details have been released about the car chase involving Prince Harry and his wife, this one's wife, in New York City last year. The car chase, which occurred as Harry, this one's wife, and this one's wife's mother, Doria Ragland, were chauffeured home from an awards ceremony last May, involved reckless behaviour on the part of the paparazzi, according to a New York Police Department investigation. While no arrests have been made to date, the investigation concluded there was sufficient evidence to arrest 2 individuals for reckless endangerment. So why haven't you done it then? Yet law enforcement sources in New York told ABC News there are no plans to make any arrests in the May incident. How interesting. So whilst there is sufficient evidence to arrest 2 individuals, we're not going to do anything about it. That somewhat flies in the face of what the police are meant to do, I should imagine, enforcing the law, but hey, what would I know about it? The results of the NYPD investigation were shared publicly as part of a ruling issued by a court in London in a court case involving Harry, explains ABC. The judge ruled that the UK government had the right to strip Harry of an automatic security detail during visits to Britain. With the ruling, Harry's ability to have taxpayer-funded security protection in the United Kingdom will continue to be decided on a case-by-case basis. Harry, the 5th in line to the throne, has been fighting in court against a 2020 decision by the UK government that denied his family automatic taxpayer-funded police protection while in Britain, after he and this one's wife stepped down from their roles as senior working royals. Harry, 39, plans to appeal the judge's ruling. A spokesperson for the Duke told ABC News on Wednesday. Harry and this one's wife, who now live in California in case you'd forgotten, travelled with this one's wife's mum to New York City last May to attend the Ms. Foundation's annual gala, where this one's wife received an award that she'd purchased. After leaving the gala, held at the Ziegfeld Ballroom, the Sussexes and Ragland were pursued by paparazzi. At the time of the incident, a spokesperson for the Sussexes accused paparazzi of being highly aggressive and driving on the sidewalk and running red lights during a 2-hour relentless pursuit of the famous pair. While being a public figure comes with a level of interest from the public, it should never come at the cost of anyone's safety, the spokesperson piously said. The Sussexes and Ragland were uninjured in the chase and made it safely to their destination. There were numerous photographers that made their transport challenging, the NYPD said in a statement, noting the department assisted Harry and this one's wife's private security team. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex arrived at their destination, and there were no reported collisions, summonses, injuries, or arrests in that regard. The Sussexes' claims that the car chase was a 2-hour relentless pursuit were questioned in the immediate aftermath of the chase by many, including members of the paparazzi and the mayor of New York City. Celebrity news agency Backgrid USA, which received photos and videos from 4 freelance photographers who were covering Harry and this one's wife's stay, refuted claims of a near-catastrophic car chase. According to the photographers, there were no near collisions or near crashes during this incident. The photographers have reported feeling that the couple was not in immediate danger at any point. The photographers claimed that one of the 4 SUVs in Harry's security escort was driving in a manner that could be perceived as reckless, including blocking off streets, according to Backgrid. New York City Mayor Eric Adams said at the time that it was a bit reckless and irresponsible for paparazzi to chase Harry and this one's wife, but he expressed scepticism about the chase lasting for 2 hours. I'd find it hard to believe there was a 2-hour high-speed chase, the mayor said, as he took questions from reporters during an unrelated event in May 2023. Accordingly, we covered it extensively at the time last year, and it would seem that this event was key with regard to the attempt to maintain the security payments for Harry and this one's wife. You'll be fully aware that this one's wife requires security because, one, her paranoia as a narcissist compels her to believe that there are people out to get her. Moreover, she wants the security because she can triangulate people with it to make her look important. See, I'm somebody because I have burly men around me, sometimes putting their hand on my bottom, sometimes accompanying me as I do a pap walk across a parking lot. Ensure that there's lots of blacked-out windowed SUVs around so people's heads turn, and because I'm so concerned about security, I repeatedly wind down the window on my car to gurn at people and give them the rictus grin. Security is necessary for this one's wife because in her deluded world, it reinforces the idea that she's important, that she matters, that she is of moment. She requires that security. Harold has always been used to having security, and between the two of them, they regard it as an entitlement that they ought to have. Well, the court disagreed with that and saw that there was nothing unlawful in the decision-making of the relevant government bodies and RAVEC when they made the decision that it ought not to be provided on an ongoing basis. So Yabu sucks for Harry and this one's wife. Naturally, such a defeat will not have gone down well at Monty's shit show, and Harry has probably been cowering the chicken coop ever since, shouting, "But I'm going to appeal! I'm going to appeal! Everything will be okay!" But what this does demonstrate is two very interesting things. The first is that it's evident that this was a staged event, or, in a way, the Sussexes sought to provoke a car chase in order to manufacture an argument that they deserved the security. See, look how we were relentlessly pursued in a near-catastrophic car chase. Give us our security. We can't go anywhere without the risk of a pizza delivery boy chasing us on a moped. But if you look at what occurred last May, the police didn't arrest anybody. The police were sceptical as to there actually being a near-catastrophic car chase. They said nobody was injured, there were no collisions, no arrests were made, no summonses were issued. Almost like, nothing to see here, folks, nothing to see here. The mayor expressed scepticism. Members of the paparazzi stated that actually they, two of them, had been involved and hired to assist in making something dramatic for Netflix footage. The taxi driver said, no, I didn't really ever think that they were in danger. And of course, we have that fantastic photograph that shows a clearly anxious Harry, a disinterested Doria Ragland, and a smirking this one's wife in her gold dress, sat in the centre, lapping up the fuel. Not the face of someone that's terrified because she's being pursued by paparazzi, but rather the look of somebody enjoying the fuel and thinking, this is all going to be useful with regard to our security bid. Accordingly, although the Sussexes made a big hoo-ha about what went on at the time, the authorities didn't. And in the immediate aftermath, nobody was arrested. Nobody was hauled before the courts. But then, what happened more recently? Well, interestingly, at paragraph 135 of the judgment that has been handed down, the following was explained. On the last day of the hearing before me, Miss Fatima K.C. produced a copy of a letter dated December the 6th, so some 7 months after the event, December the 6th, 2023, from the Chief of Intelligence in the New York City Police Department. The letter is addressed to the Chief Superintendent, OCU Commander, Royalty and Speciality Protection. The Chief of Intelligence says that he wishes to make the Chief Superintendent aware of certain changes to the security posture that will be afforded to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in light of the security incident that took place on May 16, 2023 in New York City. The letter says that a thorough review of the incident had taken place, and although no formal charges were brought against the parties involved at the time, we did conclude that the behaviour in question was reckless. As a result, redacted text, beginning with an upcoming trip in the current weeks. The investigation had found reckless disregard of vehicle and traffic laws and persistently dangerous and unacceptable behaviour on the part of paparazzi during the night in question. They had operated vehicles, scooters and bicycles in a manner that forced the security team, which included the NYPD lead car, to take evasive actions on several occasions and a circuitous route to avoid being struck by pursuing vehicles or trapped on side blocks. The conclusion was that there was sufficient evidence to arrest 2 individuals for reckless endangerment, although, as I explained earlier, there are no plans to arrest anybody. What this clearly demonstrates is this: that the Sussexes wanted to create the concept of them being pursued to support their security bid. Because it was patently staged, and how on earth do you have a 2-hour car chase in a gridlock New York City is anybody's guess. Thereafter, so many parties came out saying, no, nothing to see here, from the police, the New York City mayor, the taxi driver, members of the paparazzi. There was no footage of a high-speed chase. Yes, there was a bit of footage showing a car driving around a few people, and we had the photographs of them in the taxi. But there was nothing from various traffic cameras, CCTV, showing reckless endangerment taking place. Accordingly, this mounted to a huge threat to control of this one's wife, and rather deflated their attempts to suggest that this incident should enable them to show that it was evidence of the need for security and that it should be paid for by other people. Accordingly, because they didn't get the reaction that they sought, and indeed it blew up in their faces, who'd have thought it? Another thing involving this one's wife that fucked up. It's evident that somebody contacted the Chief of Intelligence in the New York City Police Department and basically said something along the lines of, we need to demonstrate that their lives were at risk and there was some form of endangerment to them. Do you think you could revisit matters and write a letter and confirm that was the case? And they may well have stated, well, actually, we looked at it first time around and there wasn't a problem. Yeah, but say that there was. You don't actually have to go and arrest anybody. Just say that there was a reckless disregard of vehicle and traffic laws and persistently dangerous and unacceptable behaviour on the part of the paparazzi. Talk about the necessity of evasive actions and the circuitous route having to be taken. But you don't need to actually go and take anybody's liberty away or subject them to any legal process. Okay, yeah, sure, we can do a letter. And thus, that's what happened. The fact that everybody at the time, bar the Sussexes, said nothing really happened, and then later on we suddenly get this letter being produced to suggest that there was actually reckless disregard, and there was actually persistently dangerous and unacceptable behaviour, although contemporaneously there was no evidence to suggest that was the case. So, what changed? Did New York City go through a wormhole, which caused there to be a revision of history? No. What happened was a narcissist sought the compulsion of a revision of history in order to get what she wanted, namely other people's money to pay for her security to make her look important. And it's clear that the fact of, at the time, nothing being said that supported their position, and then lo and behold, some 7 months later this letter appears, which is then used in court and was produced on the last day of the hearing, so as to say, actually, despite everybody else saying that it wasn't a near catastrophic car chase, we've got a letter here where they confirm that there were some concerns, so clearly pay for our security. This is demonstrative of the need for them to have staged something, or at least to have tried to provoke a reaction from the paparazzi, so that they could then turn to the courts and say, look what's happened. Look how we've been chased. Look at this near catastrophic car chase. Give us our security. It's quite clear. Now, I mentioned there were two things that came out of this. The first being that it's evident that this was done and staged or sought provocation to secure their security. But the second point is this. The actual judgment was circulated to the parties and their lawyers on the 1st of February. And then the judgment was handed down in court yesterday. That is not necessarily something that's particularly mysterious or sinister. It can often be the case that judgments are circulated to the parties before being handed down in open court for reasons of checking details and reaching agreement and so forth. There might also be certain confidentiality concerns. There's a sensitivity with regard to the information that's contained. And it's to give the parties an opportunity to understand and digest the judgment before it's handed down. Accordingly, the Sussexes knew that they'd lost a month ago. And what have we just seen in the last month? A mad dash across the ocean to see Pa. Pa, please pay for my security. Could be. Likely to be. All of a sudden, this uptick in activity by the rictus grin as she shimmies around and sachets on the ski slopes, that we've seen her out lunching, that the charitable actions have been ramped up, all part of trying to curry favour and suggest, look, we're actually fit for purpose to come back into the fold. Please, please, please pay for our security. Wouldn't be a surprise, would it? The narcissist acting with her usual sense of entitlement, that lack of accountability for her behaviours. Accordingly, the fact that they knew that they weren't getting their security paid for as a blanket approach, notwithstanding the possibility of succeeding on appeal, but they knew that they'd lost, and they knew at the beginning of the month that that was the case. And therefore, it seems to me quite clearly that this galvanised the pair of them into action to try and curry favour with King Charles to get him to extend the blanket of coverage, that if the government wasn't going to do it, that Charles might foot the bill, that he would be persuaded that they could come back into the fold as a consequence of Harold's pleading and this one's wife making it look like she could behave herself. A cynical attempt, of course, to exploit other individuals, which is entirely appropriate with the behaviour of a narcissist. Thus, the judgment that was handed down yesterday is not only a slap in the face for the Sussexes and will threaten the narcissist's sense of control, but it also demonstrates that they clearly utilised the car chase or supposed car chase in May as an attempt to create the concept of them being in danger. It was a cynical attempt, not only at the time, of course, to draw fuel, but also to secure a residual benefit by making it seem that they were in such danger that they should have their security paid for. And secondly, we can see that because they've had the judgment a month, what has gone in the intervening period has wholly been an attempt to persuade individuals that they should somehow rejoin the royal family and have their security paid for by the royal family. Do you agree? What are your observations on this? Let me know in the comments section. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.